Hello, happy people. I hope that you are having just one of your favorite days you've ever had in your entire life today. And if not, man, I hope it will be by the time we're done with today. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, today we're going to be taking a look at a short story called Haïta the Shepherd by Ambrose Bierce. It's a fantasy mythological short story which I've read a bunch of times, and I've read it again last night for the next time. It's a key point. It's a key point in the Cthulhu Mythos because it's where the character of Hastur as a god and a deity that's worshipped is created by Ambrose Bierce and then is incorporated into the Lovecraft's Cthulhu Mythos. So it's a key story in that, as a part of my absolute obsession with all things Cthulhu Mythos and Lovecraft. I have read it several times. I don't own it in print. I've only read it online. So I'll link you to a free online version below in the comments below. This idea of taking things from previous writers and incorporating them into your work is something that Robert W. Chambers actually did with Ambrose Bierce. And he took like Holly in the inhabitant of Carcosa and he put it in his Yellow Sign, which is a very strong horror section, which I've reviewed all the short stories from that collection for you already. And so Robert W. Chambers already did this. And so this idea of taking something from Ambrose Bierce's short stories and reincorporating it into the mythos is something that Lovecraft would have been familiar with and comfortable with because he had read both Ambrose Bierce and Robert W. Chambers according to his letters and so forth, and he was and the things that he was writing. So he was familiar with both the Yellow Sign from Robert W. Chambers as well as Ambrose Bierce's horror stuff, and he would have been familiar with this fantasy, more mythological than hard fantasy collection. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be following a shepherd that is up in the hills who has been living a lifetime as a shepherd, and then the shepherd is going to grow increasingly lonely and then want something more, and then when that something more happens, it's not what he was hoping for. And that's the short story. It's actually pretty quick. It's like 6 or 7 pages long. So I'm not going to spend too much of your time going over like, oh my gosh, what all the things. But it does introduce the character of Hastur. Although Ambrose Bierce's interpretation of Hastur is very different than the Cthulhu Mythos' interpretation of Hastur as the person whose name you should not name. And those sorts of details into the character from the Cthulhu Mythos are very different, but the same name, same basic concept, being worshipped, being a god, and so the same basic sort of concept, if you will, but the details are very different between the two. But that's Haïta the Shepherd for you. So 6 or 7 pages long. It probably took me like 15 minutes last night for me to read it for like the 4th or 5th time. I've read it a lot, but I wanted to go ahead and let you know what it says this is, and embrace it and its impact on the Cthulhu Mythos and later writers like Robert W. Chambers and Ambrose and H.P. Lovecraft. So there you are. That is a short story. Have you read it? What did you think of it? Did you agree or disagree with my take? I think it's an 8 out of 10 because it can wander in a few places and sometimes it has too much description and not enough action. But Bierce is good at that kind of stuff. There's a line in it about the flowers being jealous of this woman's beauty, how they wilt in jealousy, as the sight of her, I think is very clever and very well done. That I enjoy reading. So Bierce is a very strong wordsmith, but this is light on the action. But again, it's only like 7 pages long, so light on the action, but again, I'm only giving it an 8 out of 10. So if you agree or disagree with that, please let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, why not hit that subscribe button, because there's gonna be a lot more of these to follow in fantasy like this one, science fiction, and in horror. And then finally, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing into my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have a great day.